Listening Library presents Stranger Things Season 1, The Junior Novelization by Random House. Read for you by Michael Crouch. November 6th, 1983. Darkness had come to Hawkins, Indiana. Beyond the quiet neighborhoods, out past the streetlights, where the stars were the only things lighting a path for miles around, stood a mysterious building that had no business being in a small town like this one. Hawkins National Laboratory had no official address, no sign out front. Only people with top security clearance knew about the horrors that occurred within its walls. Inside the lab, lights flickered and alarms sounded. A scientist in a white coat came running down the hallway toward an elevator. He was breathing heavily, sweat dripping from his brow. The scientist frantically hit the call button over and over again, praying to hear the familiar ding of the elevator arriving. As he waited, the man was careful to look behind him to see if he was being followed. It was hard to tell. The strobing emergency lights made the shadows in the hallway jump. The coast seemed clear. Maybe he'd make it out of here alive. Ding! The elevator doors finally opened, and the sweaty scientist rushed inside. He mashed the door close button and tried to calm himself. He'd be out soon. He could slow down and catch his breath, away from the intensity of the blaring sounds and the strange growling noises. They started low at first, but grew louder, meaner, hungrier. This startled the scientist, making him freeze up with fear, afraid to move an inch, too scared to even blink. He wasn't alone in the elevator. Something else was in here with him, something that snarled like an animal. Against his better judgment, the man looked for the sound. It was coming from above him. He twitched, lifting his chin to look up. And just as he caught a glimpse of the creature, it grabbed him before he could run. An unseen monster sucked the man up into the elevator shaft with one swoop. The elevator doors closed, and there was no way for anyone else to hear his screams. 12-year-old Mike Wheeler issued a stern warning to his friends. "Something is coming," he said. "Something hungry for blood." His words hung in the air. Silence followed. He could have been talking about whatever was lurking in the lab miles away, but he knew nothing about that. No one in town did. No, Mike was talking about a different kind of monstrous threat. The kind that lived inside the illustrated pages of a monster manual. It was dark in the basement of the Wheeler house, and that meant one thing: Dungeons and Dragons. It was a role-playing game where players would act out death-defying feats as magical characters, and their fates would be decided by the roll of a 20-sided die. The rest was up to Mike's twisted imagination. As Dungeon Master, he'd created a fantasy campaign that would put his friends to the ultimate test. Would they be up to the challenge? Overseeing the grid map, Mike continued his thrilling tale. A shadow grows on the wall behind you, swallowing you in darkness. It is almost here. "What is it?" asked Will Byers, the wizard of the group. "What if it's the Demogorgon?" Dustin Henderson nervously wondered aloud. His character was a cleric. "We're so screwed if it's the Demogorgon." Lucas Sinclair, the ranger of the group, regained control of his team, trying to calm them down. "It's not the Demogorgon." "An army of troglodytes charge into the chamber," Mike revealed, slamming his hand down dramatically. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Troglodytes were little lizard people who posed no real threat to any respectable D&D player, especially those with high-scoring characters like Mike and his friends. The boys all laughed. If troglodytes were the worst of what Mike had planned for them, this adventure would be a walk in the park. "Wait a minute," Mike said, his mood suddenly changing. "Do you hear that? That sound?" The others grew anxious now. Mike clearly had something else up his sleeve. "Boom! Boom! Boom!" Mike said, slamming down a new figure onto the table. A powerful creature that would make anyone's skin crawl. It had scales, claws, and stood taller than any other monster on the map. It was spawned from pure darkness. "The Demogorgon!" Mike announced. Everyone threw their hands up in defeat. "We're in deep crap," Dustin blurted out. "Will, your action?" Mike asked. "I don't know." Will snapped back, beginning to panic. The other boys leaned in, rapid-firing solutions to try to counter this new threat before it could doom them all. "Fireball it!" Lucas shouted. His first instinct was always to go on the attack. "Cast a protection spell!" Dustin shouted, always trying to play it safe. "Don't be a wimp," Lucas ordered. "Fireball him! Cast protection!" Dustin countered. Mike slammed his hands down again, taking back control of the room. "The Demogorgon is tired of your silly human bickering. It stomps toward you. Boom!" "Fireball!" Will yelled. He rolled the die recklessly and it flew off the table, bouncing somewhere into the unknown of Mike's basement. The boys all leapt up from their chairs, searching like mad for the missing die, like their lives depended on it. "Where'd it go?" Lucas asked. "I don't know," Mike said. "Is it a 13? Dustin shouted, hoping for a high number. "I don't know!" Will exclaimed. Before they could learn their fate, a woman in a pink sweater appeared at the top of the stairs with the power to stop the campaign dead in its tracks. It was Mike's mom, Karen. "Mike!" she yelled, finally getting her son's attention. Mike might have been the dungeon master, but this house was her domain. "Mom, we're in the middle of a campaign," he pleaded. "You mean the end? 15 after," she said, reminding him of the time. It was getting late. Mike followed her upstairs to the kitchen. "Just 20 more minutes. It's a school night, Michael," she said. "The campaign took 2 weeks to plan. How was I supposed to know it was going to take 10 hours? You've been playing for 10 hours? Mike just bit his tongue. He'd already said too much. He tried to get Dad to back him up, but that wasn't going to happen. His father, Ted Wheeler, was only interested in hearing the TV set, and not much else. "Listen to your mother," Dad said, fiddling with the TV antennae. Mike sighed. While he tried, and failed, to negotiate for just 20 more minutes, Lucas and Will were confronted with an even worse number downstairs. "Does the 7 count?" Will asked, finding the die face up, showing a 7. Lucas frowned. A 7 wouldn't be enough for their party to survive the Demogorgon threat. At all. But maybe there was another way out of this. "Did Mike see it?" Lucas asked, gears turning in his head. Will shook his head no. "Then it doesn't count," Lucas said, hatching a plan to game the system. Will got his meaning and left the die undiscovered. The boys quietly packed up their gear and prepared to leave, but not before Dustin decided to take on a secret side quest of his own. As the other guys grabbed their coats, he grabbed what was left of the pizza they'd ordered and journeyed upstairs to sneak a peek at Mike's sister, Nancy. She was older, now a cool high school girl who avoided the dorks to hang on the phone with her popular friends to talk about boys. Dustin worked up the courage to wave at her from the hallway. It took a few tries, but he finally got her to notice him. He showed her the pizza box and flashed a smile. "There's a slice left if you want it. Sausage and pepperoni." A hopeful moment as she got up from her bed. "Hold on," she told the person on the phone. Dustin kept smiling until she shut the door in his face. It was official. The boys had worn out their welcome at the Wheeler house. The fantasy was over, and all that was left was life outside in the real world. Mike led his friends out to their bikes. Lucas and Dustin were quick to...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?